I'm going to be reviewing this show after watching 2 episodes because life is short and this show feels long. But before I give my specific thoughts, without spoilers, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as I do weekly reviews of numerous shows, including Raised by Wolves and Lovecraft Country. And if you'd give me a like, I'd really appreciate it. So, getting into Away. Clearly, here, this is a case of Hilary Swank trying to do for her career what Winona Ryder did for hers with Stranger Things. But I don't think this show is going to do it for her for a couple of reasons. The basic setup, there's not really, to me, enough of a high concept here. Basically, it's just there's a group of international astronauts, a Russian, a Chinese person, someone from Africa, someone from India, and an American leading the expedition, and they're going to Mars. And right away, there are questions of whether or not the lead character is able to lead this mission. Emma Green, of course, played by Hilary Swank, and people questioning her authority, particularly the astronaut from Russia. And basically, there's all that going on. And then there's human conflict going on at home as she discovers that her husband is going through a medical crisis and has to decide whether she wants to continue with the mission or not, given this situation. Spoiler, she does. But that getting into what this show is about, there are some positives here. I think the special effects are quite good, although I would say they are only marginally better than Space Force, which at least that was a comedy, so ostensibly it was supposed to be funny and the special effects weren't really the focus, but they are good here. And there are some interesting situations that arise in space in the first 2 episodes, and I would consider just going through the episodes and seeing these visually interesting scenes in space. Clearly they've put a lot of money into this show, and it is on the more prestigious adult-friendly end of Netflix entertainment. A lot of their shows are very, very focused on young adults and just kind of not really meant for an adult audience. And so clearly, with the cast, which this show really doesn't deserve its cast, it's being marketed to adults. Hilary Swank, I feel like a lot of people have taken it upon themselves to be really, really critical of her, but she's a good actress, and she really anchors this show, and I think that if she had more to work with, she could really be a good lead actress for a show. And I like the rest of the cast as well, particularly Josh Charles comes across very strong as the husband, Matt, and I like that they did this very, very smart writing decision to make him someone who was knowledgeable about this mission so that he can contribute too. He's not just this invalid at home with nothing to do. I think that would very, very quickly make his character seem pointless, since his journey is completely separate from her journey, other than as kind of the person she left behind. But he's able to contribute, which is interesting, if not kind of unrealistic. But you've got that, and you've got the daughter played by Tathla Eliana Bateman, who's going through her own struggles. Again, these are kind of irrelevant because she's the person left behind at home, but it is interesting to wonder what it would be like to be left at home if you were to have a spouse or parent go on a 3-year mission to Mars. But this show is way too interested, in my opinion, in pat resolutions and in formulaic writing to actually go to the emotional levels that it would have to make a lasting impression. A book that is one of my favorite books, the Book of Strange New Things, which they actually started to make a show out of but ditched after a very, very good pilot episode with Richard Madden from Game of Thrones. But Off the Rabbit Trail, that story I felt like delved a lot more into the isolation you would feel from a loved one as you left them behind to venture into space, and almost this sense of loss that you would feel. And this show is too trying to be this feel-good, networky show to actually go to those emotional places. And I mean, it has a lot of aspects that you'd be surprised to see in this show, like actors that you wouldn't think would be in this show, like Otto Essandoh and Ray Panthaki and others who are just very, very good, very, very talented actors. And the pilot episode is directed by Edward Zwick. I mean, come on. He's a film-level director, or he was in his previous life. But the show just doesn't deserve any of these people or the director or talent behind the scenes, and I'm really surprised that they put this much effort into the special effects for this thing, because really it just doesn't have enough going on to make it that interesting. It's not intense enough because you kind of know that most likely the characters are going to survive any given situation, at least at the beginning of the story, and it's all in a very cookie-cutter TV-14. It's all enacted in that way, which is odd because there's some very, very sexual scenes with Hilary Swank and her husband in the first episode, where I was scratching my head going, is this TV-14? And of course there was an F word. Get away! You're ruining the video! Get! My cat, sorry. That was, kind of out of place. I was surprised. I was like, oh, I didn't know they could use the F word in a TV-14 show. Who knew? But other than those elements, it really felt like something that my mother or my wife would watch on network TV. And they would probably enjoy that on network TV if they had nothing better to do. So I'm not going to hate on this show. It's well produced, and, I think that it will appeal to a certain audience, but that audience isn't me. So those are my thoughts, but if you have thoughts, let me know in the comments. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this one, you can watch them right now, and please consider subscribing to the channel. That's my review of Away.